Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is Yevamos Daf Chaf Beis. We are holding 7 lines from the top of the Amud. We're discussing the Sugi of Shniyos. Min HaTorah, certain arayos are asur. Rabbanan added another layer of arayos. So, not just mother, but mother's mother as well, etc., etc. And the point is, we prohibit marriage with any isha which is close in nature, reminiscent of an erva. And the point is to implement an extra barrier, an extra shmira, lest one interact with the erva herself. Yesterday we had a list of shniyos la'arayos, and today the Gemara will add another 6 in the name of Rabbi Yehuda. Tani devei Rabbi Yehuda, the brisa which was learnt in the base medrash of Rabbi Yehuda, contained the following list of shniyos la'arayos. Shlishi shebibnoi v'shebibitoi, 3 generations down, on his son's side or on his daughter's side. So let's say on the son's side you have your son's son, that's 2 down. His daughter, that's shlishi shebibnoi. Similarly, on his daughter's side, 3 generations down. So you have your daughter, her son, and that son's daughter. Either way, 3 down on this side, 3 on that side is considered shniyos la'arayos. Same on his wife's side, his stepchildren, v'sheba ben ishtoi, 3 down on his wife's son's side, v'sheba bas ishtoi, or on her daughter's side. Those are all considered shniyos la'arayos. The same thing if you go upwards. Revi'i shebechamiv v'shebechamoisei shniya. So let's say his wife's great-great-grandmother, that's a shniya. His wife is considered number 1. Her mother is number 2. And her mother, which is your mother-in-law, her mother's mother, so that's 4 up, mother, mother-in-law, that mother, and further up 1 more mother. So Revi Shebechamiv, whether it's father-in-law's side or mother-in-law's side, Shebechamiv v'Shebechamoisei Shniya, they are all considered Shniyos la'arayos. So we have 2 on his side, his descendants, 1 from his son's side, 1 from his daughter's side. You have 2 on the wife's descendants' side, and you have another 2, her ancestors, going up either through her father's side or through her mother's side. All those 6 in total are considered shniya. Actually, we alluded to this yesterday. We had these 6 of Rabbi Yehuda. Here we have it. A total of 6 more arayos. Amali Ravina Ravashi. Ravina asks Ravashi the following question: why is it that we relate to these arayos differently? Maishna lamala. Why is it when we go upwards, the wife is considered part of the calculation? Right? We consider her 4. Revi shebechamiv. 4 up. How do we get 4 up? Wife is 1. Her father is 2. Her father's father is 3. Her father's mother is 3. And her father's mother's mother is 4. So basically, wife is considered number 1. She's reckoned as part of the calculation. But why is it when we go down to descendants, to children, they're like a chashav l'ishtay? We don't reckon the wife as 1. We call them number 3 instead of number 4. Shlishi shebibnoi. So the daughter of a son's son is 3. We start from the son, which is number 1. That son's son is number 2, and that son's daughter is number 3. We ignore the wife. But when we go upward, we consider wife as number 1, and then her father is number 2, 3, and 4. Answers the Gemara, there's difference. Lamalo, the isura mikayach ishtek asi, because when we go upwards, it's his wife's family. They're his relatives only through marriage. And since it's not his blood relatives, it's only by way of his wife that he connects to them, so we reckon wife as number one. We count her as number one, because she's the catalyst for the Isser. Lamata, as opposed to when he goes downward, his descendants are his blood relatives. The Isser is not on account of his wife, it's his personal relatives. We do not count wife as number one. Okay, that explains his own personal children. What about his wife's children? His wife's son or daughter. In that case, certainly the Isser is on account of his wife. We should count her in as number one. We don't count her in. We start with the child. We don't start with wife as one and then go down the list 2, 3, and 4. And says the Gemara, I did the Tana. On account of when we discussed his own personal children. We just started from his child, as we explained earlier, because in that case there's no reason to include the wife in the count, because it's not her relative, it's his relative. So on account of that, when we left out the wife, when we discussed her descendants, we also did not include her into the calculation. Okay, so we have a total of 6 more shniyos la'arayis in the name of Rabbi Yehuda. His great-great-grandchild, through his son or through his daughter. The same when it comes to his wife's great-grandchildren. Right, so 3 generations down. His son's daughter. Or the same when it comes to his daughter's side. Likewise on his wife's side of the family. Or upward, you have from his father-in-law's side or mother-in-law's side. So a total of 6 shniyos la'arayis. These examples of shniyos mentioned by Rabbi Yehuda, yesh lahem hefsek, oy ein lahem hefsek. Do they terminate or not? Yesterday we learned that in some instances, the isha that was labeled as a shniyah, midrabanan, only that isha is asr. If you take it a step further, there's no isra. For instance, certain variations of ants. She's asr, but if it's a step beyond that, a generation further out, there's no isra. What about these examples of Rabbi Yehuda? Right? So a great-grandchild. Does it stop there? Or does it just go down the line without any hefsek? Tashma, here's a raya. Da'amar Rav. Because yesterday Rav told us, Daled Nashim yesh lehem hefsek. The following 4 women have hefsek, are limited to those and no further. V'suloi. He said only 4. Apparently the other examples of shniyos just carry on without interruption, including these of Rabbi Yehuda. No. Perhaps Rav was referring to that specific brisa. In that brisa, we have 4 that have hefsek. It's not to say that there aren't other examples of nashim that have hefsek. Tashma, here's another raya from this brisa of Rabbi Yehuda himself. We have shlishi, right? Shlishi shebebnoi, v'shebebitoi. We have Ravi, 4 generations up on his wife's side. We cite a number, which seems to be accurate and specific. Shlishi Ravi in, only 3 down or 4 up are asr. Tfeiloi, but further out, is not asr. Apparently, there is hefsek. It terminates. It stops right there. It's limited. No. Dilma mishlishi ve'elach. V'ravi ve'elach. When we said 3 or 4, that was a starting point. But certainly it goes onward without interruption. So you have no conclusion on our shayla. Amalei Rav Nachman. Rav tells Rav Nachman as follows: Chazi Mar, did you see Haimer Rabbanan, this Talmud Chacham, the Asam Rav who came from Eretz Yisrael? V'Amar, and he quoted as follows: Bob Marav. In Eretz Yisrael, they question as follows. We know that a ger who converts and happens to have been married to his erva, which by the way is asr even for a guy, but it so happens to be he was married to a relative and he converted. They both converted. So really, Al Pidin, there's no concern because we know a convert, a ger, is like a newly created being. Gershen is Gayer. Kikotan Shenoilad Dami, and really, they're no longer related in a Torah context. But, as we're going to see soon, Rabbanan did not allow it to continue. So they have to separate. What about if he was married to a Shniya? Not a sister, a mother, an immediate relative, a removed relative, a Shniya, which is only Asim Rabbanan. Gaz Rushniyas Begerim, Oilay Gaz Rushniyas Begerim. Did they apply a Gzero when it comes to Shniyas by a Ger or not? Do they have to separate? Or can they stay together? Amalei. So Rav Nachman responded, of course there's no concern. Because the entire thing is in the Rabbanan. Look, Hashta, Uma Erva Gufa, even the primary Erva herself, would not really be a concern in our Torah. Ilav, if not for the concern Shalayimru, people shouldn't say, Boin Mikdusha Chamura, the Kedusha Kal. Look, Ger, he thought he was rising in stature, becoming elevated to a higher level of Kedusha when he joined the ranks of Yiddishkeit. But look what happens. While he was a guy, he should not have married a relative. But now when he turns Jewish, it's totally mutter, and negates the entire concept of Kedushas Yisrael. There's a concern about Maras Ayin, about creating the wrong impression, as though joining Yiddishkeit is a downgrade, Chas v'shalom. Therefore, we say, you know what? Even though al pidin it's mutter, because you're both like reborn and recreated creatures, but don't stick together. So that's the only reason why we separate them. So if not for this, if not for this concern, that people shouldn't be saying, Boin mikdusha chambura, kedusha kala, they came from a greater kedusha and ended up in a lower kedusha, Rabbanan would not have been concerned about even staying married to a proper erva. So this is the only reason why we separate them. Is there a need to even say that Shniyas is not a concern? You see, because true, a proper erva, even a guy should not be married to. So here we don't want to create that impression that joining Yiddishkeit, joining Yisrael is any less than being a guy. But by a Shniya, to begin with, it's only Asim Rabbanan. That is, Rabbanan is not applicable when he's a guy, so there's no concern with just staying together. Amar Rav Nachman, Gerim. Once we speak about Gerim, Hoyl v'asal Yadan, once we're on the topic of Gerim, Neiba Move Milsa. Let me tell you something interesting about Gerim. Achin Mina'im. Suppose we have two brothers, Goyim, who share the same mother. So you know for sure that they're really brothers. Lo Ya'idu, when they turn Jewish, they shouldn't be testifying. We know that brothers, relatives may not testify together. So since they're proper relatives, again, even though once they join Yisrael, they're no longer considered relatives, but they appear to be relatives because they share the same mother, they should not get involved in offering testimony. That's l'chatchila. V'yima'idu. But if they actually offered edus and edus, b'diavad we accept it. That's because they share a mother. They're proper brothers. As opposed to acher min ha'av, non-Jewish brothers who share the same father. Rashi says, the pasuk was mafker, the zera of a goy. There's no kurva when it comes to sharing a father at all. Kurvas av, Rashi says, ain't no kurva. We don't consider them relatives at all. And therefore, me'idin l'chatchila, when they convert, they can actually offer their testimony l'chatchila. Aveima Amar, he goes a step further. Afilu achem v'na'im nami me'idin l'chatchila. Even if they share the same mother, when they are mizgayer, they can join together and offer testimony. Why? Because halachically, they are not relatives. Asks the Gemara, why would this be treated differently than arayis, where we say, don't stay together, treat them as relatives? Right? We said before, if one happened to be married to his relative and they both became gerim, they can't stay together, even though they're newly created creatures. So why is edus different? Answers the Gemara, erva l'koil masura. the concept of arayis is prevalent, is something accessible to all, which basically means, as Rashi explains, everybody's marrying. It's something which is commonplace. And therefore, if you allow the gerim to stay together, these two relatives to stay married, that concept might be applied to bona fide Yisraelim as well. We want to avoid that confusion, and therefore, even gerim, who are relatives, may not stay married, as opposed to edus. The concept of edus is limited to Bezdin. Who's involved in edus? The Bezdin Masura. And Bezdin knows the halacha. There's no room for confusion there. The gerishin is gair, kikot neshin the dummy. They know full and well that a ger became a Yisrael. It's like a newborn, unrelated to his former relatives, and therefore there's no concern of confusion. Taisus asks, it would seem from Rashi, the reason why relatives may not stay married is on account of creating possible confusion and applying it to proper Jews. And Taisus asks, what do you mean? A minute ago we said the concern is that they shouldn't be thinking that they were downgraded in their Kedusha, something they couldn't do when they were non-Jews and they can do it now. How do we reconcile both reasons? And Taisus goes on and discusses and explains the terrace discussion, why both elements, both reasons are needed. Okay, so the bottom line is we had 6 additional shniyos in the name of Rabbi Yehuda. We had a question of whether or not those shniyos have hefsek or not. Are they limited to those or they continue further down the line? We're not sure about that. We learned about gerim. Gerim should not stay married to each other if they are relatives. But that doesn't apply to shniyos, which are only asam the rabbanon to begin with. Regarding saying edus, so brothers who share only a father certainly can be made once they turn Yisrael. They share a mother, we have a machlekes amoroi. Continues the Mishnah, Mi she'esh le'ach mikol mokem. If one happens to have a brother, on any account, even a mamzer, as the Gemara will explain. So even if it's an illegitimate brother, he's still a brother, and therefore zoykek es ishtoi es eishes achav liyibam. That surviving brother, upon the passing of this brother, that surviving brother, even though he's a mamzer, will obligate the widow to do yibam. For achavu l'chol davar, even if he's a mamzer, he's considered a brother regarding all halachis, Yerusha, etc. Chutz, except for one example of a brother, mimish yesh le'ach min hashivcha u'min avedes kechavim. Suppose his brother hails from a maidservant or a guy. So his father interacted with these individuals and had this brother. That brother doesn't identify with you. He's the son of a shivcha, son of a guy. Unfortunately, he identifies with the mother, and therefore is not considered your brother. Same applies to a son. If one has any type of son, that son now exempts his mother, who had no other children, exempts her from yibum. Look, there's a son here. Even though he's an illegitimate child, he's a mamzer, but a son is a son. What's more, if he strikes or curses his father, is chayiv. He's considered a son for all halachas. Chutz, except for the son who hails from a non-Jew. If that son was born from a shivcha or a goy, that son doesn't identify with the father. The Mishnah says a brother from any account, Mikol Mokem, counts. What are we including? Amar Rabbi Yehuda Asuya mamzer, even if it's a mamzer. Pshita, of course. Achiv hu? A mamzer, no mamzer, he's still a brother. Why would I differentiate? Perhaps I would think, Leilaf achava achva b'nei Yaakov. We had this clear Sheva back on Daf Yud Zayin. Ki yeshvu achim yachtav, brothers who experience each other, they are obligated to look after their brother's widow. They do yibum. We connected to the Bnei Yaakov. We had the Lashon Achim. So perhaps Ma'ala Halang Ksherim V'lei Psulim, just as the tribes, the Shvatim were Ksherim, of course, and not Psulim. Avkan, likewise, over here by Yibum, you need Ksherim V'lei Psulim. Kamashmon, the Chiddush is, even a apostle obligates Yibum. Ve'ema Chanami. How do we know that's not true? Perhaps you need Ksherim. And says the Gemara, Kivan Dil Inyan Yibum, Mifter Nifter. Since we're going to learn something from a pasuk, then when it comes to a son who's a mamzer, as long as there's some sort of son, even a mamzer, exempts his mother from Yibum, miskik nami zakik, we compare it to the brother as well. And we say, look, a brother in this type of context will be zakik, will obligate to Yibum. If a mamzer is considered a son in a Yibum context, he's considered a brother and reckoned with in the Yibum context as well. So he's zakik Yibum, he's considered a proper Yibum. What else? Va'achiv hu l'chol davar, considered a brother for anything. For what? L'yarishay. He inherits that brother. His brother passes away, and now this kohen wants to know, can I be metame? Can I tend to this brother? Yes. He's metame to this brother, considered a close relative. Pshita, of course, achivu, he's his brother. Why would I think otherwise? Perhaps I would think. The pasuk says that a kohen may not be metame himself, except for close relatives, or 7 close relatives. And the pasuk says, Ki'im l'she'era karav elav. L'she'era, he's allowed to be metame. Who's that? V'mamar. She'era, his flesh, so Ishta, it's his wife. So this pasuk indicates you are metame for a wife. Uksiv, the other pasuk says, Lo yitame. Bal ba'am v'leichale. No, a husband may not become tame, cannot attend to his wife who passed away. May he, or may he not? The answer is, it depends when. Yesh baal she'emi tame. There's a husband who will become tame. Yesh baal she'ema tame. And a husband who will not be tame himself. Okay, Ted, how does this work? Mi tame hu lishtek shera. He's allowed to become tame in order to tend to his wife who passed away. If that wife is a legitimate wife, a proper wife, who he was allowed to marry. But if it's an ishtay psula who he wasn't meant to marry to begin with, he can't be metame to her. So once we know that it depends on the status, depends whether it's kosher or puzzle, that's the basis for being matar, becoming tame. Perhaps we'll apply the same to a brother. Hachinami, likewise by a brother. Mitame hu la'ach kosher, ve'im metame la'ach puzzle. Perhaps he's allowed to become tame in order to tend to a ach kosher, but not by an ach pasel like a mamzer. Kamashmon, the chiddush is no. Even by ach pasel, he's allowed to become tame in order to bury him. Ve'emachanami, how do you know? Perhaps the same concept that applies to Isha applies to brother. If he's pasel, he shouldn't be touching him. What's the difference? Big difference. Hasan by the Isha, lafuki kaima. He's meant to send her away. He's meant to divorce her. Says Rashi, Hilkach lav ishtahi. She's not really considered his wife. She's on the way out. Therefore, there's no justification for becoming tummy to her upon her passing. As opposed to brother, hacha, achivu. A brother is a brother is a brother. He's a blood relative. Irrespective of whether he's a brother who is kosher or pas. So this applies to all types of brothers except for one type of thing. If he doesn't identify as a Jew, his father had a son from a guy. And that brother, so to speak, is not really his brother. My time, how do you know this? Pasuk speaks about the children of a shivcha. They belong to their master. They relate to the master. They're his property. So we see from there that we don't reckon with the father. It's irrelevant who the father was. They relate to the mother, back to the master, they're his property. They're not considered Israel. Same when it comes to children. Any type of son will exempt his mother from Yibum. What does this come to include? Rabbi Yehuda this mamzer that we spoke about. My time, how do we know that a mamzer is sufficient son, sufficiently reckoned with, in order to be paiter his mother from Yibum? The Amakra, the pasuk by Yibum says, "Uben ein loy." Right, this fellow passed away without children. Rashi says they could have said ein without a yud. Rashi brings many examples where we have the ein without the yud. Why does the pasuk add the yud in the word ein? Ayin olav. Concentrate, focus. Take a look at this departed fellow. Investigate the matter. Does he have any type of child? Kasher, puzzle, mamzer. Either way, that will be sufficient grounds to exempt the widow from Yibum. This child, despite the fact that he's a mamzer, born from an inappropriate relationship, if he strikes his father or curses his father, he's chayiv. Amai, why is he chayiv? Kari kan. Let's apply the pasuk. V'nasi ba'amcha lo'isar. Don't curse a nasi who is part of your community. And we learned ba'isem ma'ase amcha, if he conforms to proper behavior. His father, certainly does not behave appropriately. And by creating this mamzer, so why is this child obligated? Why is he liable for attacking his father? Answers the Gemara. He did teshuvah. As Rav Pinchas tells us elsewhere, Ba'is teshuvah was speaking that he did teshuvah. Hachanami here as well. Although he created a mamzer, but teshuvah is always open. It's always, the door to teshuvah is always there. K'she'asa teshuvah, he did teshuvah. Really? How can he do teshuvah once he created a mamzer? V'atanan Shimon ben Manasseh Eimer. Ezu mu'uvas li'uchal iskan. Give me an example of one who became crooked, who has no rectification. This case, Habala Erva, he lived with an Erva, Vahilid Mena Mamzer, and created a Mamzer. There's no way back. You have a bona fide fact in front of you. You have a Metzias of a Mamzer. How can you suggest that he did teshuvah? Answers the Gemara, it's true, it's difficult. There are many obstacles in his way. But the fact is, he can still do teshuvah. Hashtamiyah. Nevertheless, Hashtamiyah now, Oisem Masa Amchu, he's back on track. He did teshuvah, says Rashi, even though Avoynoi Goloi V'nizkar Kolzman Shemamzer Kayim, as long as the Mamzer is still alive. By the way, the Mamzer doesn't live very long. The Gemara Kedushin, I believe, says Mamzer eventually dies out, doesn't have sustained existence, because his whole reason for existence is not really a proper chiyus. In any case, but as long as the Mamzer is here, the Avera is revealed, it's exposed, it's a Metzius. But, says Rashi, Miu mi'tshuva ve'elech b'chlal oisem ma'aseh amchu. The fact is, the person, the Gavra, can do teshuvah, as the Rishonim bring, ein lecha davar ha'imid b'nei teshuvah. The fact is, the person did teshuvah. And therefore, the son is liable for attacking his father. Tana Rabbana, we learned in a Brais. Habo ala choisei. If one interacts as married with his sister, that's an Isser. On top of the fact that she's a sister, she's also the daughter of your father's wife. So she's created through marriage. V'hi bas eshes aviv. What happens now? Are there two chiyuvim, two isurim, only one? We have a machlekes. Chayiv mishum achoisei. One chiyuv is on account of sister, umishum bas eshes aviv, and also on account of the fact that she's the daughter of his father's wife. Rabbi Yehuda Kessler, no. There's only one chiyuv. Ein chayiv el mishum achoisei b'lvad. He's only guilty of achoisei v'lo mipnei bas eshes aviv. We don't have the additional issa bas eshes aviv. So typically, if she's just a sister, of course she's chayiv. But if she's on top of the fact, a sister, on top of that, she's also bas eshes aviv. Chacham say there are two reasons for Isser. Two chatois, two Isurim are being committed. Whereas according to Rabbi Yossi, strictly achoisei, and that's it. And it's based on Psuk. My time, why do Rabbanon suggest that there are two Isurim? Amri, they say as follows. Michti. Ksiv. Let's take a look at the two Psuk. Number one, we have Ervas achoischa basavicha basimecha. Don't interact with the sister, whether she's the daughter of your father or your mother's daughter. Either way, she's considered the erva of achois. Then we have pasuk number 2. Ervas bas eshes avicha. Moledas avicha achoischi. Don't interact with the daughter of eshes avicha, a daughter of your father's wife. Normally, why that additional pasuk? To teach us. There are two reasons. At times, we have two separate reasons that come together. Shmamino, this teaches us l'chayva mishum achoisei. At times, she carries two isurim. Number one, sister. Umishum bas eshes avicha. Number two, a daughter of your father's wife. Rabbi Yehuda, what does he do with this pasuk? Amakra, because the pasuk says achoischa hi. She's your sister. That's extra words in the pasuk. coming to tell us. He's only held responsible on account of his sister. He's not accountable on account of daughter of father's wife. What do Rabbanan do with these added words, which seems to be sending us some sort of message? They need it for something else. They need it for the following: to hold one responsible. Listen to this. In pasuk number 1, we had Achoischa bas avicha, the daughter of your father, or your mother's daughter, one or the other. Suppose both things come together as one. She happens to be your father's daughter and your mother's daughter. Let's say that even if it wasn't through marriage, Rashi said through oinus, through a forced relationship. But it so happens to be you have two reasons, two elements of sistership here. You share a mother with her and a father. Pasuk needs to tell you that you're a chayiv. Loima, and this teaches us she'ein ma'asira min adin. You can't draw a warning or a punishment by way of a kavachomer. You could have simply said, look, if in pasuk number 1 we learn that one or the other is sufficient reason for chayiv, either sharing a mother or sharing a father is enough to consider her a sister and erva. Of course, if there are two reasons coming together as one, you share both a mother and a father, of course there's a chayiv. No. Achoischa. Pasuk is highlighting, you know what? Even if both come together, there is also a chayiv. And by doing so, the pasuk in effect is telling you, you can't just draw conclusions on your own. This is a well-known rule in halacha and einish. You can't create an einish through a kavachomer. That's the halacha that Torah here is telling you. We need to point this out, that if there are two reasons for chayiv, you're also chayiv. Don't say, well, isn't it obvious? If one element of sisterhood is enough, certainly both together, all the more reason for chayiv. No. I need to tell you that. I need to tell you that if both elements of sisterhood come together, there's a chayiv. Because otherwise you could not have concluded it on your own. She'ein mazhir min adin. So Achoischa is coming to tell you that lesson. The two elements of Achoischa, you share both a mother and a father, there is chayiv. For Rabbi Yehuda, how does he know this concept? He already used Achoischa for something else. To tell you there's only a chayiv on account of Achoischa, not on account of Bashes, just of it, right? How does he know this concept of Ein ma'ashirim min adin im kain? If it's only to tell you this, Lichtav Rachmana, the pasuk could have said Achoischa. She's a sister. She's a double sister. And you're a chayiv because I'm telling you she's chayiv. You could not have concluded this on your own. The extra word, lamali, what's that for? Oh, to tell you. The liability here is limited, is strictly limited to Achoischa. There's no additional chayiv on account of being the daughter of your father's wife. V'Rabban, what do Rabbanan do with the word he? Even if it already says Achoischa itzrich l'michtav he, we need the word he on top of that. Why? Shaloi taimar ba'alma masir min adin. The pasuk is telling you like this. Sure, right over here we see that you can't generate einish through a kavachomer. From the fact that we need to express, we need to specify that a two-sided sister is chayiv. That indicates to us that you can't just draw these conclusions on your own through a kavachomer. Right? But a single-sided sister is also certainly a double-sided. No, we need to express it. You can't just do it on your own. But perhaps this isn't necessarily a formula that you can apply elsewhere. You shouldn't go and say, well, typically you can generate a azhara, an einish, by way of a kavachomer. If so, why does the Torah have to add the word achoischa, that a double-sided sister is usher? Isn't that pashut from a kavachomer? If a one-sided sister is usher a two-sided sister for sure aser. Well, most of the aser kavachayma, sometimes, even something that can be drawn from a kavachayma, Torah, because la krua Torah burdens itself. It troubles itself to write it out. Don't rely on the kavachayma, I want to tell it to you straight out. Perhaps that's the reason why the Torah spells out achoischa. Not to tell you a general concept that you can't learn from a kavachayma. Perhaps you can learn from a kavachayma, but at times the Torah spells it out. So the word achoischa wouldn't necessarily form the basis, wouldn't necessarily teach you this concept of ein mashirim min adin. That's why we need the extra he. Kos rachmana he. That's why the pasuk adds the word he to tell you that only in this case will we have the extra pasuk of achoischa. Now we know that a double-sided sister is asur. But typically, you can never learn anything from a kavachaymer when it pertains to punishment or warnings. According to Rabbi Yehuda, we needed this pasuk to tell you the other concept that there's no chiv of bash eshes aviv. But if all the psukim, all the words were already used up and unavailable for that, so what does he do now? Im kain. If the pasuk were only to tell you this, the lessons taught by the Rabbanon, the pasuk could have been stated elsewhere. The placement is sort of off. The pasuk should have put this language of achoischa in the other pasuk, which discusses sisterhood. Right? You go back, you'll see the two pasuk. Pasuk 1, ervas achoischa, bas avicha bas imecha. A sister, whether from the mother side, from the father's side, she's an erva. Right over there, the pasuk should have said achoischa hi. If it's a double-sided sister, she's an asur as well, and comes and teaches us that you can't learn from a kavachayim, etc. Where does the Torah place those words of achoischa? In the second pasuk. Right, pasuk number 2. Ervas bas eishes avicha, maledes avicha, achoischa. What's it doing there? That's not the pasuk of achoischa. Pasuk speaking about eishes avicha. Oh, the fact that the pasuk added the word achoischa in that pasuk. In effect, the pasuk is telling you, even if this sister is a proper sister, a daughter of your father's properly married wife, bas eshes avicha, you should know there's only one isser, sister. There's no additional isser of bas eshes avicha. For Rabbi Yehuda, according to him, hi bas eshes avicha mayavadle. Why at all is the Torah speaking about bas eshes avicha if it's not meant to generate an isser of bas eshes avicha? It's coming to teach you what type of sister is considered an erva. It's coming to tell you. A sister is only if produced from a relationship with an isha that your father can theoretically marry. As opposed to a sister generated from a relationship that his father has with a shifcha or a goy, they don't relate to that child doesn't relate to the father, and therefore she's not considered your sister. Shein ishus lavicha ba. Father can't even theoretically have any marriage there, and therefore that child is not considered a sister of this fellow. Okay, so the bottom line is, there isn't much machlekes here when it comes to the other halachas of mashirim min adin. All agree that those concepts holds true. We have one specific machlekes regarding the erva of achoischa, who happens also to be bas eshes avicha, daughter of your father's wife. According to Rabbanan, we have two isurim, achoischa and bas eshes avicha. According to Rabbi Yehuda, strictly achoisai and nothing else. Bez Hashem will continue the discussion tomorrow. Okay, so let's do a brief chazor of today's daf. Rabbi Chia added 6 more shniyos. We learned that gerim, relatives who were married before they converted, should not stay together. But if they were only shniyos larayis, there's no concern. When it comes to giving edus, 2 brothers share a father, no concern. If it's gerim who share a mother, we have machlekes amaroim. We learned that a brother or a son who happen to be even mamzerim are considered. And we concluded with a discussion regarding achoisai. Haslach rabba to you and all the best.